On MUTV News tonight, we'll be focusing on the upcoming MUSG election. We'll tell you how your fellow students are campaigning for a seat in student government.
We caught up with the presidential and vice presidential candidates to find out who they are and what they can do for the student body. Stay tuned for our annual MUSG election special right here on MUTV News.
Welcome to MUTV News. Thank you for joining us. I'm Liz Schulder.
And I am Victor Jacobo. Also joining us tonight is MUTV News correspondent Adrian Fuqua. Adrian, what do you have for us?
I sat down with Election Commissioner Aaron Shago to find out about the rules and regulations the candidates must follow in the election process.
All candidates first have to turn in an elections packet, which will include their campaign expenditures, kind of like why they're running their platform, so to speak, as well as their campaign workers, things like that. Before any campaign worker or before any candidates were to put publicity out about themselves and their campaign ticket, I must approve all of their work that's going to be shown in public, things like that. Any things that they're trying to do to publicize for themselves or to campaign for themselves, they run by me first. They cannot talk about elections in the office as well as in specific academic buildings, or like wear their campaign material or hang their own campaign material in certain places. And otherwise they can't, any of their campaign material must have like the MUSG URL where we vote at, as well as the voting date, what the position they're running for, their name, things like that. So it's kind of like mostly campaign related rules. But so the way the violation system works is anyone can write a violation against someone. So if they notice that there's slander on a certain kind of publicity, or that the publicity or campaign material isn't meeting all the criteria that it's supposed to meet, that person could file a violation with myself and the elections committee, and there's about 6 people on the elections committee, and then the elections committee would meet within 24 hours of that violation and decide on a penalty for that person. And taking away a percentage, like deducing a percentage of votes from that candidate's final tally of votes. Okay. So, and that's decided on a case-by-case basis. If the candidate wanted to appeal it, then they would approach the appeals committee, which consists of senators. We have a judicial administrator in MUSG that would also take care of that. So, presidential campaign ticket, you can spend up to $500 on your campaign. If you're a senatorial campaign ticket, then you can spend up to $100. Regardless of whose money it is going towards that, you can only spend that much. So let's say one of the campaign tickets for president and vice president was given a $200 donation by a family friend or by another student on campus. I don't know what student would do that, but just saying it happened, that would still count as their $500 limit. So there's no rule saying that you can't receive donations or sponsorship, but you would have to factor the retail value of those donations into your total spending cost.
Okay.
Thanks, Adrian. When we return, an exclusive look at presidential candidates John Heflin and Kirsten de Guzman. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I had a chance to sit down with John Heflin and his running mate, Kirsten de Guzman. Here's what they had to say.
Students packed one of the AMU ballrooms Sunday to watch as candidates for MUSG president and vice president presented their running platforms. During the debate, students got to know candidates at the political level, but there is far more to them than that. I sat down with presidential hopeful John Heflin to get to know him more personally, although John couldn't help talking politics when asked about his favorite moment at Marquette.
This campaign really has meant to me a lot about what I've done at this university and, what there is to come. There's an opportunity here to succeed in the future, and it certainly doesn't stop if we win or lose.
John's optimism is not only evident in his campaign outlook, but also in the advice he offers to his fellow students.
Don't let anybody tell you you can't do something.
When asked what he would do with the day off from the campaign, he responded,
I'm actually trying to get through a biography on Harry Truman. If I had a chance to take a day off with no homework stipulation or anything, I would probably work on getting through that biography.
In closing, John described himself as committed, honest, and attentive. I also caught up with John's running mate, Kirsten de Guzman, who confirmed these attributes and also told us about her relationship with John.
It started as, very, running mate, president, vice presidential relationship, and we've really grown to bond and really become friends.
Unlike John, Kirsten's favorite moment at Marquette did not happen on the campaign trail.
Every time after we win a basketball game, just that sense of excitement that everyone has, and how we're all joining together, supporting behind a team, especially since we just went to the Sweet 16.
Basketball games are not the only thing Kirsten enjoys at Marquette.
I love walking down the street with a smile, saying hi to everyone, even if I don't know them, and even stopping to have conversations with people that I barely know.
When asked what she would do with the day off, Kirsten responded,
If it's a nice day outside, just sit outside with a book and read, or do an art project.
Like her running mate, Kirsten also describes herself as committed, but adds that she's personable and very optimistic. Now back to the campaign trail. Elizabeth Schulder, MUTV News.
I'm joined now in the studio by John Heflin and Kirsten de Guzman, candidates for president and vice president of MUSG. Thanks for joining us, guys. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thanks for having us tonight, Elizabeth.
Well, we went to our students here at Marquette to ask them what they wanted you to answer, their questions they wanted you to answer. So let's jump right into it.
Hey, I'm Spencer Bonahum. I'm a freshman, and my question for the MUSG candidates is, what new ideas do you have that are going to improve my experience as a student here at Marquette?
I'm glad you asked that. And I'm glad that students are taking such an active interest in learning more about us and taking an active interest in this process. One thing that Kirsten and I have talked about in terms of enhancing the lives here on campus is making sure that students know who we are exactly, what MUSG can do for them, what their president and vice president can do for them, and what the organization overall can do for them. We want to reach out to them. We want to engage them on a one-on-one level. We want to make sure that we're keeping communication open with various groups on campus, including the vast number of student orgs that we have and RHA, because we do feel like that's a partnership that's crucial in making sure that if there's issues coming up, we can solve them in the most efficient, effective way.
I think another thing we've also talked about to really enrich students' lives on campus is, as we are a Jesuit institution, part of that mission is men and women working for others. We really wanted to work as an MUSG to create more service opportunities for students and really promote the service opportunities that are out there, because I know to a lot of students on campus that's a huge part of their time here, and they always find something enriching and enlightening about it. So if we can create more opportunities and give students more opportunities to do that, they'll have so much more time here on campus that they can talk about and really reflect on and really feel like they were doing something as part of this and really working to better their community within Marquette and within the greater Milwaukee community.
That's excellent. Now for our second question.
My name is Courtney. I'm a freshman, and my question for MUSG is, as far as budget goes, what are your top priorities for distributing money?
Well, as that is primarily my position, I will definitely address that. I think our biggest priority with the budget is making sure that we're keeping the money on campus and maximizing it when we're giving it out through the student organization allocation, that what we're giving to student organizations for funding requests is making sure is making sure that what we're funding is getting to the most students on campus, so the most students are benefiting from the student activity fee that they pay, so that they're getting the most out of it, and that we're also not only funding these things but promoting the things that we're funding so students do know about them and can attend them.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Dana Leonard, and I'm a freshman in the College of Communications. And my question for you is, I am part of a nonprofit organization on campus, a club called Invisible Children, and we constantly have events throughout the year promoting awareness about Uganda's longest running war. And my question for you is, will you help us promote these events? Can MUSG do anything to make the event more successful?
How will MUSG support various student organizations? I know you just talked a little bit about that with the way money is allocated. Would you care to elaborate?
Sure. I think that's one of the biggest ways that we can support student organization is making sure that they know they can use the student organization allocation, and also making sure that they know how to use it properly so that we are keeping the most money on campus and that we are helping them put on these events that they might not be able to fund themselves, that could be great events not only for their organization but for the entire student body.
And I think another way that we can really reach out to these student organizations is making sure that we're encouraging our members to attend. I think as representatives of the students, we should make sure that we're actively attending these events that are here on campus, so that way student organizations know that MUSG is taking an active role, not just through the student organization allocation process, but also seeing the faces that are helping put these events on.
So definitely just a lot more communication among the different organizations.
Most definitely. Absolutely. And I know Kirsten and myself would enjoy going to as many events as possible. So.
Well, we look forward to having you at all of them. No.
Oh, we'll do what we can.
Now to our next question. What will you guys do about improving advising?
Well, I'm actually glad we get to address that, because as the chair of the academics committee this year in MUSG, we've really tackled advising. There was a survey that was distributed about midway through the year that asked students about the advising process specifically. We had a chance this past semester to look at these results, not only numerically but also personal feedback about what students saw with advising and where they felt there was the most satisfaction and the most dissatisfaction. And you'd be astonished to see 1 in 4 students are actually dissatisfied with their advisors on campus overall. And that number gets even higher. About 42% in the College of Education are dissatisfied with the advising process. So when we're looking at the feedback, we want to analyze who do students identify as good advisors. And then we want to look to those people as a model for how to fix the long-term structural changes. We want to see why students come to them, what they're doing in their advising meetings, and making sure that we can take those ideas and expand them to the greater advising community. Something we'd like to see in the long term that we've both talked about is somewhere in the future an advising center. So there's good coordination between all the advisors on campus. We can reduce the number of multi-advisors to possibly just 1. And we can make sure that students are not only in these meetings asking about courses, but also being developed as students on this campus in the social community, whether it's finding organizations that they're interested in or finding internships that they're interested in, developing students as professionals as well.
Yeah, advising is very important for all of those things. Give me your top 3 goals as a team if you're elected.
Well, I know the very first one that we're looking to work with is accountability. What would you say our second one is?
Well, we do have a lot of goals.
Yes, we do.
I think our second goal is, along with accountability, is keeping with communication, keeping open lines between the student orgs and making sure we're working for them, teaching them how to use the student organization allocation fund, and making sure that they're getting the maximum they can from their student government.
And the third would most definitely be advising, because as a strong academic institution, the students here deserve a standard that they see Marquette is not meeting right now.
Great. How will you continue the progress that this year's administration has made?
Well, I think the best way to continue the progress is keeping ourselves informed, which we do on a daily basis. We make sure that we're constantly discussing the issues that are being brought up now, that we're constantly going through a variety of different sources to make sure we understand exactly what it's going to take to start on day one. We don't want to wait a minute. We want to make sure that when we get into office, if elected, we'll be able to start on day one. Something else that I think both Kirsten and I bring to the table is strong communication and strong personalities. We're both very outgoing, very personable people, and I think that's going to be really great in working with these administrators on a day-to-day basis to make sure that these issues that are being brought up now can be carried over through a smooth transition process. I think if we're elected, we'll be able to transition very smoothly. We'll be able to start on day one, and we'll be able to continue talking about these issues. And I know some of the things on the docket right now, besides advising, include Sodexo and the Rec Center. 2 very big issues that affect a large number of students that I know both Kirsten and I are committed to making sure that we continue having conversations about.
Well, thank you guys so much for your time. It was great talking to you.
Well, thank you very much, Elizabeth.
When we come back, an interview with President and Vice Presidential candidates Joey Ciccone and Trent Carlson. Stay tuned.
We sat down with MUSG presidential and vice presidential candidates Joey Ciccone and Trent Carlson to find out about their life here at Marquette and their friendship. I first asked them what they thought is the best thing about Marquette.
The best thing about Marquette University is definitely the people. I think you can walk from class to class, from building to building, and you can always find someone that's got a smile on their face, someone that's happy to be here. I think a lot of people love Marquette, and I think that's a great thing, and really something that we can build upon. People love Marquette, so why not make sure that everyone loves Marquette, make sure that everyone that's here loves it as a place to call home.
I originally wasn't going to go here, but then I went on a tour, and the minute I kind of stepped on campus, all the people here were extremely friendly, and I think that's something very unique about our university. This past summer, I had the opportunity to meet with a few leaders from other Jesuit universities, and they talked a lot about, how do we engage students to get them to kind of come to events, share their voices and things like that. And I think that's something very unique we have at Marquette. Students are very concerned and ready to speak up with it when there's an issue, and they're very involved in the events and organizations here.
I asked Joey and Trent to describe their working relationship.
I think one thing that Joey and I have going for us is that we've worked well together. We've worked together on the e-board before, so we understand how each other kind of operates and goes about problems. I think that's a good understanding to have, because in case something drastic happens, maybe let's say we take office and something drastic happens, we're able to understand how the other person goes about problem solving, and we can really make a change or make a difference and be effective from day one, and not really have to learn how to work together.
I'm better of a manager than Trent is. I think Trent is better at really telling it how it is, and kind of he brings the ideas to the table, and then from there I kind of figure out how we can go about and really make sure those issues and things are kind of brought before administrators, students are involved, their voices are heard and things like that.
My final question involved asking Joey and Trent to describe their ideal day off.
Day off, I'd probably go for a drive, whether it be driving home back to Iowa or driving around, maybe to Chicago, get some pizza. Just go get off campus for a little bit, enjoy myself. Take a little time for some downtime.
What I would do is probably sometimes I'll just come in the unit and kind of wander around, and there's a lot of cool things going on. So I'd probably attend a lot of meetings that I haven't had the chance to attend because of meetings with them within MUSG and things like that.
For MUTV News, I'm Sabrina Bong.
Hello and welcome to MUTV News' special MUSG election show. I'm joined here by Trent and Joey, and guys, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Yep, and so the election is tomorrow, and we went out and about campus asking students what their questions were for the candidates. So let's get right to the first question.
Hey, I'm Spencer Bonahum. I'm a freshman, and my question for the MUSG candidates is, what new ideas do you have that are going to improve my experience as a student here at Marquette?
Here on campus.
I think we actually have a couple ideas. One of them being here on campus services, kind of much emphasis is placed on it. As of right now, it's very hard for individuals and organizations to kind of connect with those organizations that are looking for service, such as elderly homes, soup kitchens, things like that. So one of the ideas we'd like to propose is a service website in which a student or an organization can go and kind of sign up and see, hey, this place needs 30 people at 5 o'clock on Tuesday. Those kind of.
Okay.
Another thing that we really want to do is look at expanding advising at Marquette. Look to see what are the problems currently with advising, and look to see if we can make long-term and short-term solutions to those.
Sure.
Advising, there's a lot of students that aren't happy with advising, anywhere from 1 in 4 to 1 in 3, really depending on what college that you're in. So we really want to look at advising and kind of tackle that issue.
All right, so going back to the community thing, are you guys kind of putting more focus on community work, really strengthening that in Marquette?
Yeah, that's one of them. I think a lot of great organizations do that, and I think a lot of them are looking for potential, actually additional and other projects, so kind of making sure that they're paired up with the organizations that are looking for help.
All right, thank you very much. Now let's go to our second question from another student.
Hi, my name is Shannon Johnson. I'm a senior here at Marquette University studying criminology, and my question is, how does MUSG prioritize their distribution of money to student organization and activities here on Marquette's campus?
Actually, the first one would be within MUSG, we do have the student organization funding process, in which about $60 each year a student. We do have the student organization funding process, in which organizations can apply for funding for events, whether on or off campus.
Yep.
In the past, a lot of that money was sent off campus.
Okay.
So what we really like to do is make sure that money is brought back to campus, which is something that 94.6% of students want to see.
Okay.
Yeah, to go along with that, we'd really like to look at events that are going to impact the student body, that is going to be open to all students, that students are going to be able to, attend, that students, since they're paying money for these events, and it's a portion of their tuition, their activity fee that they pay to go to Marquette, we want them to be benefited from it. We don't want to spend the money all on, off-campus events that not all students are able to attend.
All right, thank you very much, and let's go to our third question.
Hi, my name is Rosa Castillo, and I am a freshman at Marquette University, and my question for MUSG is, how do you plan on creating more events that reach out to minority groups?
Yeah. I think through MUSG we have the program board. One of the commissions is the Diversity Commission. They do a lot of great events that kind of help foster discussion about multicultural topics and things like that. What we really like to do is create a relationship between that commission and also a lot of the multicultural organizations here on campus.
Okay.
So really ensuring that we're reaching out to those groups. If we're bringing someone on campus that is discussing a topic that's pertinent to them, making sure that they're known, and also reaching out to other organizations to kind of bring more people to the table.
Okay.
And really bridging kind of that gap that we have with the multicultural student organizations, really trying to work with them more, see what their problems are, and make sure that we can address them, and that we have that kind of an open door relationship that they feel free to come to us and we're able to freely go to them, and we're really work together.
Right. And so do you think part of that is perhaps just creating events that are, like you said, more pertinent to them? Do you think there are other ways of doing that, or what are the options that MUSG has to really do this?
Definitely, I think there's another thing that we can do as well is really address and look at what are the resources that the multicultural student organizations have available to them, and are they really fitting the needs? And working with them to understand they don't have X, Y, and Z, and how can we help advocate for them so that the university can get them the resources that they need within the Multicultural Student Center, different places on campus, so that they're able to be successful as well.
Okay, so now let's go to our next question.
Hi, I'm Dana Leonard, and I'm a freshman in the College of Communications. And my question for you is, I am part of a nonprofit organization on campus, a club called Invisible Children, and we constantly have events throughout the year promoting awareness about Uganda's longest running war. And my question for you is, will you help us promote these events? Can MUSG do anything to make the event more successful?
I think kind of something we really worked on this year, Trent and I are both current members of the e-board, through Father Wild lunches, in which we can invite students who have lunch with Father Wild, and also other ways of reaching out to students. We were able to find out a few issues, such as one organization such as Danzig, they were looking for a place they can go practice that had wooden floors and mirrors. Also, a lot of the a cappella groups, which is increasing here on campus, we're looking for new microphones and things like that. So really kind of putting them in contact with the administrators that they need to really work out those situations is one way. Also, another way would be to, I think, really just attend their events. On campus, a lot of us are seen as leaders, really kind of showing other people that we're attending their events, we're breaking kind of what we usually do to kind of show support to these organizations.
And really work with the program board to partner with events with student organizations. There's no reason that we can't co-sponsor events to go with different, if there's student organizations related to those events, why not co-sponsor them and make sure that their attendance is going to be better, the event's going to run more smoothly, it's going to affect the most students as possible.
Definitely putting the MUSG tag on these events can make them a lot more successful, and say that's what she was asking, and I think that can definitely help a lot of events be more successful. So, okay, so those were the student questions, and so coming from different points of view on campus. But now I just want to ask you guys, if elected, what are your top 3 goals?
I'd say the first one has to deal with advising. We kind of touched upon that earlier. We are looking for a lot of long-term recommendations, whether we want to stay with academic advisors or pre-professional advisors. But there's a lot of current students on our campus that they won't be affected by that. They still need some short-term changes. What we've done a couple of weeks ago through the e-board is create this resource sheet, because a lot of advisors are kind of unaware of the resources on campus, and not necessarily knowing all those resources, but putting you in contact with the right people.
And what are the issues that students have brought up in terms of advising?
Actually, a couple. One of them is the length of time. So one thing we're currently looking at is increasing advising week and increasing kind of the appointment time you do have with your advisor. And something that kind of goes hand in hand with that is for some advisors, they're seeing over 200 students within that one period of time. So what we really like to do is place a cap on the number of advisees an advisor can have. So you can really, the students are really able to build upon a relationship with their advisor.
And then a second goal that we have is really including the student voice within decision making. The university, they make a lot of decisions regarding deans, professors, a variety of decisions that they have to make, but students aren't always consulted within those decisions. So while working with Father Pilar's, who's coming in, who Joe and I have both met and had discussions with, we'd really like to include students within those decisions, making sure that their voice is being heard, the entire length, and not just told about it at the end.
And then our very last one would be one of kind of a long-term plan would be a new recreation and wellness center. There has been some current renovations to the Healthcare Recreation Center to kind of for students that are currently on campus. As of right now, we still do lack a lot of multi-purpose space. So groups that are looking for spinning classes, places to kind of practice if they're having cultural shows. Intramurals has currently been capped because they don't have enough space for it. Students that are in club sports, for many of them, have to practice after 10 o'clock when the current Healthcare Recreation Center closes. So we'd like to add more space for them, but along with kind of bring an aspect of wellness, such as student health services, counseling, and those kind of things. So it's really kind of like a one-stop shop for the body, your whole body, mind, and soul.
All right, then that will do it for us. Guys, thank you so much for coming and telling us what you're all about. I'm sure everybody will now have an informed decision on voting day. And so that does it, folks. Joey and Trent, and they're running for president and vice president of Marquette University Student Government. Thank you for joining us.
Makes the position so worthwhile? I spoke with the current president to find out.
Being Marquette Student Government President is a full-time job. The position calls for long hours and 100% dedication. We sat down with current president Megan Lodwig to find out what makes all that hard work worth it.
What makes it worth it is the support that I get in this office and from the students. That was support that I'd received as a senator from older, more experienced senators, but then when I became president, the support of the E-Board, the Executive Board of Student Government, which is 5 really other dedicated leaders that are leading the student government, as well as the support of my advisors, the students that I'm working on behalf of, and help from the administrators.
In addition to all the support and experience gained while in office, the MUSG president does receive a number of financial incentives.
The executive vice president, all the vice presidents of MUSG, as well as the president, receive a stipend. There's paid staff in the student government, so we're not the highest paid of all the members of the student government, but we do receive a stipend. While they help out in the fact that I don't really have time for another job within this role, it wasn't really the reason for doing so.
So, do these financial perks make up for all of the time and effort the president must put in on a daily basis?
I don't know if it would make up for it. It definitely wasn't a reason that I joined the student government to receive any kind of stipend or anything. But I was really looking to continue the experience that I'd had within the student government and to again, further the things that I thought were important to the student body.
Thanks, Stephanie. Now let's take a look at the race for senators. In the College of Arts and Sciences, there are 4 candidates. They are Brenna Gunderman, Sterling Hardaway, Jack Howard, and Samuel Schultz.
In the College of Business, there are 3 candidates. They are Jilly Gokul-Gandhi, Heinz Schellhammer, and Rosendo Villanueva.
In the College of Communication, there are also 3 candidates. They are TJ Bowden, Alyson Krushik, and Jim Love.
And in the College of Education, there's only 1 candidate, and it is Stephen Mogni. Also running unopposed is Stephen Lollino, representing the College of Engineering.
In the College of Health Sciences, the 2 candidates are Jennifer Healy and Matt Hurley. That's all for our election show. Thanks for joining us tonight. Be sure to vote tomorrow for your favorite MUSG candidate.
All you need to do to vote is just go to musg.mu.edu/vote. Take care, and good night, Marquette.